So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, November the 24th, 2023. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. Press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us, and we would love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. We had good conversation yesterday. If you weren't with us, we opened up with gratitudes, and then we had a question in the chat room. Well, actually, Michael had received the question earlier, but Hippia from Thailand was in the chat room, and the question was from her. And so we had some good discussion going on there, and we shared what we were thankful for. So you can go back and listen to that show. It ended up being a full hour. We had said if people didn't call in or ask questions that after we got finished we were going to call it short. We were in the process of getting food and everything ready to go to family yesterday, and we had an awesome time. And but anyway, it ended up being a full show, so that was awesome. And so I'll give Michael a moment to get dialed in. I had physical therapy this morning, and the place where I go is what's called the Pinnacle, and it's now this humongous shopping complex with restaurants and everything else. And so I knew that my daughter-in-law and her mom and some of their relatives that were in from the Philippines, they were all going to go for Black Friday shopping. And so I called them when I got out of physical therapy, and I said, where are you? And I'll just come meet you because I'm already up here. And so they told me, and I went. Well, it didn't take long for me to remember exactly why I don't do shopping on the day after Thanksgiving. It reminded me of lines at Disney World or something, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I said we stood in line more than we did anything, and all I ended up getting was 2 rolls of wrapping paper, and I was like an hour and a half. It's like, okay, never mind, I'm going back home. I don't need this. So anyway, we are here at the house, going to work in the gardens. It's a beautiful day outside. And I see Michael has now joined us, so I'm going to say welcome, Michael.
We are definitely blessed with this weather. It's just absolutely awesome. Although it's supposed to go down to the 20s in the early part of next week, so I guess we can't have it forever. And sadly,
it's actually confusing to some of our trees.
Yes, for sure. So many of the trees are budding and flowering, and although yesterday I harvested about, what would you say that was, 6 pounds of cherry tomatoes out of our little greenhouse. So, feeling blessed by that warm weather and concerned for the planet in that it's certainly unseasonably warm. In any event, if you weren't with us yesterday, belated, happy Thanksgiving. Hope that your holy day was holy yesterday, that you remembered that it's really about tapping into your wholeness. It's not about destroying wholeness with alcohol and insanity. And we are here to, of course, enhance our own understanding, enhance this process by interaction with you. The gifts you bring are deeply appreciated. The questions, the questioning, the skepticism, the, I don't know about this kind of questions. Perfect. Gives us a chance to look and review. Gives us a chance to get our bloated nothingness out of the way and hear the answers to your questions, because there is a power in each and every one of us that holds the answer to every question you could ever ask. And if you're, and I forget who it was that used that term, bloated nothingness, if your bloated nothingness is in the way, then you never get to hear an answer direct from the source, so all kinds of crazy things happen. But when we can breathe, be out of our minds and listen, then that subtle energy of the higher faculties comes in and we get to play in the actual world. So that's what we're here to do. That's what we're moving in the direction of. And we're delighted that you're here to be part of the conversation. So, Machine, do we have any questions in the chat room? Anything from the app? Anything happening in the phone queue?
I was actually over there looking up. No on all those fronts. I'll have checked my email real quick. I haven't checked it this morning because I had to go out early. But that was Ralph Waldo Emerson that gave that quote.
Okay. Cool. Good catch. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to share your blessings or your gratitude or ask a question, press 1.
And come and play. Be part of the
Susan's
process.
hand
Hang out
just
there in
went
the
up.
quiet corner. Awesome. Let's say hello.
6-1.
This is a serious and a not serious question, because I know it's one of those non-being mind figuring it out questions. But Tim and I went to a diner yesterday, and my sister turned out to have a bug and was not able to come, and we got into this discussion about what you had said, Michael, about Jesus doing his generational processing in the Garden of Gethsemane and how he was really ready on the cross. And I said to Tim, the one thing I wonder about this is if Mary's conception was immaculate, and who knows what that egg was, maybe he didn't have generational. You can see where I'm going with this. I would just like to know what you do with that question. If he didn't have generational trauma because he was an immaculate conception, or whether you don't believe that, and who knows anyway, but comments are welcome.
Michael, I hear you talking, but you're muted.
One of the things that the ancient scriptures proclaim is that everything is a metaphor. And I think, I don't need to know or believe in an immaculate conception to know that I can function without the interference from carbon-based memory and past issues, unresolved dynamics, to live in the world. I can conceive free of all generational, if I do my work, all generational patterns of hostility and fear, grief, rage, sadness, trauma, and what have you. I won't continue that list because I know you already know it. And so if I've done my work, then I get to, that which was modeled, I get to live in the Immaculate Conception, where my awareness of life and my functioning is not tarnished by past unresolved dynamics. So I think there's a higher meaning for that. Then, do I have to determine, was it miraculous? Do I have to believe that some kind of a spirit being? To me, what's more important is, do I understand what Yeshua came to do? Do I have an awareness of what his actual words meant? And have I followed the instructions? There's a point where he says, you guys are going to come to me and you're going to come calling my name, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I'm going to say, I didn't know you because you haven't done what I said to do. In other words, I'm not going to be in resonance with where you're at because you're living in a different reality structure than I've invited you to live in. And you've refused to, you say you want it, but how many actually do it? So to me, it's the teachings. I was actually listening to this morning. I was out and doing some errands, collecting some sticks for our compost pile, and on my way back from my errand. And I was listening to a video of a fellow who's supposedly a Bible scholar, and he's talking about the 7 worst translations of the Bible. And I'm sure doesn't believe that he has any bias whatsoever, but he's talking about, one of the categories that he puts the different translations in are those of sectarian, where somebody's got a particular theological axe to grind, and therefore their translations are bent. And then he's got another one, I forget what word he used, but basically cuckoo, stuff that's just crazy. And as he's speaking, and he's talking about this translation and that translation, well, this translation doesn't believe this, and that translation doesn't believe that, and that one doesn't support this, and that one doesn't support that. It's like, oh, so you're looking for those things which agree with you. And, for me, it's like what we're looking to do is to present people the tools with which they can achieve what was called the first law, that is, having the condition of Arakma in their minds, and then having direct access to the meaning behind the meaning, because they're not conceiving from their old unresolved, dogma, training, pain, or trauma. So to me, it's all about, have you got the tools? Have you used the tools? Rather than the thing that's going to quote unquote save me is if I believe this, or I believe that, or I believe this, or I believe that. I don't think there's anything to believe. I think it's a set of tools, and then you'll be taught directly by the power that he said, I come to connect you with this power that's inside of you. So how does that fit with your conversation with Tim yesterday?
I wish you'd been at the table. You're not mad, are you?
Me?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me?
Mad at me for asking?
Oh, not in the least, no. I love your questioning mind, and I love every question you bring. No, there's no mad at me about it. No, I think it's a great question. None whatsoever. I'm absolutely delighted that you continue. I mean, let's face it, Susan, you're one of the mainstays of this show because you're searching and you want to know and you're going to go for it. And everything that comes up, you're ready to put out on the table. And so I'm in total, complete delight with every question you ask and every one you've ever asked. There is no question you could ask me that, well, I guess it could be a question that might bring up my anger. And if it does, I promise I'll be responsible and forgive as to my anger. I promise.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks. Good. I get nervous sometimes. I had a poetry teacher, Muriel Rukeyser, a wonderful poet, years ago at college. And she once said that I was glib. And sometimes I do get silly. And so anyway, I've never forgotten what she said, and I wondered if you were having the same response. Anyway, thanks.
None whatsoever. No, I am truly delighted with every question you've ever asked.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Even if you've asked it more than once, which, we've had those discussions a time or two. No,
I know.
Delighted.
They go in another layer.
I appreciate you. Yeah.
Thanks, Michael. Well, I appreciate you and
for
Dr.
your
Tim and Jeanie.
quiz.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, the business of starting the forgiveness process with remembering and then clearing one's own perceptions, which are probably 98% in. It doesn't matter how much in error. The fact is they're open to question. That seems like one of the most amazing things to do and a huge corrective if we have the time. I mean, is it you who said, well, if you've got a lion running at you, you don't stop and think and ask what the right thing to do is and don't listen to the Holy Spirit. You get the heck out of the way. But most of the time we have time to consider that we might be wrong in error or whatever. And then we get curious and observing and all the good things that lead to something much healthier. But that has been probably the biggest life-changing thing. And that is like doing a short worksheet in the head. I know you like people to write them down, and I agree. But in those moments when you don't have much time and you can just say, where am I in all this? What's my ego doing in all this?
Right, and asking the question, what's the goal I hold that this situation is resonating or linking into some form of unresolved hostility or fear in me? And do I want to clean it up? I think one of the big ideas to get from the tools is that everything based in hostility or fear is corrupt data.
Yep.
And then from there, the leap to, well, maybe I need to forgive. Maybe I need to address this corrupt data, remove it from my structure so I can conceive of this situation immaculately. I can actually receive this information without it being interrupted and interfered with some of my own corrupt data.
You even use the word, wow, good. Put it right to use. That's good.
Opportunities. It's like, even with people who aren't involved, I had the opportunity a couple of times yesterday with our family gathering, people who, don't really know anything about what I do, but they're talking about how life is, closing in. It's like, oh, you mean life is giving you opportunities to learn forgiveness? Kind of look at me like, well, I guess you could say that. Okay. So maybe, maybe that's the design of life, to show us what we're holding on to and give us the opportunity one more time, and then one more time again to process through whatever it is that is holding us back from truth. So I take it right this moment you're probably conceiving of something immaculately and
my mind
looking
is going
at what your next thought. Well, tell us about it.
It's not good because it's a political discussion.
Well, go for it.
Well, I listened to a Britisher, and I don't know what his name is. I saved the clip. It was a short video on, it was a British man's view of what's happening in the United States.
Right.
Clear. I stuck the link up on Facebook. I should look it up and find out his name, but I'm not doing that right now. One thing he said was way back when the New Deal came through, or some of the greatest legislations that have helped us be a healthy society, and I know there's a lot that isn't, he said those were all the products of a unified Congress. The House, they were issues that were regarded as bipartisan, and Democrats and Republicans worked together, and you need a huge majority to get those big things through. And he said, now we just haven't got a prayer, it looks like. We don't have that right now. We have such division that we're just spinning wheels and going deeper into the mud. I'm rewording some of his things. And so that was another trigger, so that took some work. Because the fear of being hopeless, and we're losing it. We're losing it. And even no matter who wins the election, we've already kind of destroyed ourselves. All of that's going through my mind, and I'm thinking, all right, what you just said about, if I have anything in the way of a trigger going on, I'm in error. Well, I hope that's true in this case. No, but that isn't exactly a question. It's just, speak. I can hear you do a big inhale, Michael.
My observation there is there's a statement in the ancient scriptures that basically translates out as, it uses the word believe, but I think it's more living in relationship to those who believe in, and because the word God is so loaded, let's drop that and use one of the other scriptural words that is used in place of the word God, and that is love. To those who believe or are living in, connected to active present love, all things work together for good. So if I'm linked to some form of hostility or fear, then I'm going to find a way to, get myself into difficulty, injury, illness, conflict, what have you. But if I keep my mind linked with love, which is the controlling force of the universe, if that's where I live, then everything is going to support and bring wholeness to me. And
That's
I can think of
a wonderful thing to remember.
It's profound, and I can think of at least 4 or 5 times when I've had what the world would call an accident that could have been pretty severe, and it's turned out to be healing. I think about one time we were at Heartland in December, and the office building called Grace. I was coming down the wooden steps and didn't realize there was ice on them, and I was at about the 3rd step, and my feet, and it's a fairly steep stairway, my feet went totally, completely out from under me. I flipped up in the air and came down on my back on the steps. Now, I should have broken something. I mean, it's just like, it was a really significant fall. And I got up, and my back cracked a couple of times, like I'd just been to the chiropractor, and I stepped away and was just, perfectly fine. Another time I was in a truck with someone who was showing me a piece of property they were looking at near Heartland, and I always wear a seatbelt when I get in the car, but he had replacement seats that didn't have seat belts. I thought twice about whether I should go with him, and we're out in this field, and he hits a pothole or a gopher hole, and literally the truck stops in an instant. I go flying. He's got roll bars, and my head hits, and I've been having trouble with my neck. My head hit the roll bars, and I hear this crunch, 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 again, like I'd been to the chiropractor, and the pain in my neck disappeared. I think if we stay aligned, that literally that field, again, if you listen to what they say, if you're in harmony with the Creator, with love, you're protected. Nothing can come into your field that can bring harm. If you fall out of harmony with love, then you'll find harm coming, and it'll be your opportunity to either blame whatever the circumstance is or come back into your own mind and go, what's out of harmony within me? What do I need to deal with? And I think the more and more we're aligned, the less and less we have, things come up and bite us in the butt. Not that I haven't had my, share of, and still to get my share of bites in the butt, but I found some really powerful places where I really felt in touch and in harmony, and things that should have been a disaster turned out to be a blessing, turned out to be healing.
And that I suppose we can keep that point of view no matter how long we wait for the goodness of some horrific thing. Like a friend of mine, not a close friend, someone I knew, Tim and I would run into her on our walks, friendliest woman. Tim used to say, I think she's an angel. He used to say that to me.
Nice.
She's just so loving and upbeat. And she had this scratchy voice because she had chain smoked all her life. Terribly scratchy voice. Tim, Susan, how are you? And she was in her early 60s, beautiful, lively woman who loved dogs and would give anything extra to this rescue for greyhound dogs. Well, I didn't see her for a while, and there's her husband sitting out on a stoop smoking a cigarette, and I say, Terry, how's Diane? And he said, didn't you know she died? And I said, what? What happened? We were at a wedding, and she ate a piece of steak and choked to death. And I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the ark. Meanwhile, this is an aside, and this just blows my mind. I said, we saw him, a few days ago again. I said, Terry, how are you doing Thanksgiving? I'm cooking myself a steak, he said. My first thought was, you want to follow her, don't you? I mean, she choked to death on a piece of steak. What's he doing cooking a steak? And I said, Terry, you're cooking a steak? And he said, yep. So who knows? All I'm saying is it's not readily obvious, maybe not for a long time, what the ark is. I mean, I often think that young people die young because they are angels and they've just put in their time and they're taken out to do good things otherwhere. We can't always know. And so I just say, well, I'm going to look for the silver lining with this one, and we'll see.
Well, I think it was either Martin Luther King or Gandhi that said the arc of justice takes time, but it always bends toward justice. And
it might have been both, but I know Martin Luther King said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did say that.
And I think that oftentimes awareness of the bigger picture isn't available because we're stuck in or locked in limited perception.
Right.
Things, what the actuality is, what the pattern is invisible if your nose is in it. But when you step back from it, you start to see, and you're able to live from and interact with a much, much bigger picture.
Yeah. Well, if there isn't somebody else on the line...
And I think we're meant to live in the bigger picture.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to do that, right. I have another story, but I didn't want to hog the line. If Jeanie has somebody else, I don't have to. Truly, Michael, have her look. I don't want to just be on yammering away, because I can always talk about something.
There are no other hands up. You got the floor.
Jeanie, 6 or 7 years ago, I slipped on black ice, and I didn't do as well as you did. I broke my left wrist. And I remember you saying there was something about the fact that I had arranged that somehow, or I was responsible, or something. I don't remember exactly, but I remember thinking, I'm leaving the show, that stinks. But I knew you were right. I just didn't want to hear that right then. But years later, my wrist healed. They put a plate in. It was great. And then I started snapping tendons. One tendon broke, and I raced myself to the doctor because I lost the use of my left index finger. Just the end, it was like a floppy little appendage that was useless. I couldn't play the piano. And I went to him, and he built me this little splint that would keep the finger bent, and that was clumsy and too thick, and I couldn't get my fingers between the black notes and all that. I went back to him and I said, I can feel the tendons. They're under threat. Take out that plate, please. And can you do something with that finger so that it has, I can play the piano, even though it would have to be sewn into a bent position. He did that. He actually, I could show you a grisly Frankenstein photograph of what he did to that finger. And it's permanently slightly bent. It doesn't look really any different. But the fact is it's not floppy anymore. And I can play the piano. And you know what's come up is I wanted an excuse to not have to practice the piano. I was playing the piano for years. I was good at it, so my thought was, you better keep doing this because you have a gift. Well, that isn't true. You don't have to do something just because you have a gift. I didn't like practicing. I finally have a really good excuse not to practice. Why couldn't I have found that on my own? I had to break my wrist and then my finger to have a compromised hand. I can play enough to play my own pieces, chancel operas, if they're not these massive, like Franz Liszt etudes and things that are so hard. I can't do those anymore. And the feeling I have is, thank God, I don't have to do that anymore. I didn't do any work. What you had said way back then, if I'd put it to use, I would have understood back then and given up the piano like that, at that level. Anyway, and maybe this wouldn't have happened. Who knows? You can't do that kind of back-guessing. But the arc of that was a big, long arc, 7, 8 years between breaking my wrist and finally getting a decent excuse to quit the piano, which only means I hadn't done my work on it anyway, because I could have left it any time.
Choice.
I know that was a bit convoluted.
No, not at all. Just my thought being that the benefit of not living in perception is that we get to see and hear, to be shown what otherwise is invisible. But when perception comes in, then we're stuck in that energetic pattern that perhaps has nothing to do with the moment. It's just what's been resonated by the moment.
Okay.
You go back all the way back into the ancient part of the scriptures, and they talk about how, nothing will succeed against you if you're in harmony. If I just looked it up, and the language of it is kind of antiquated, but when you bring it into modern language in the world, it says, so the protection aspect of it, this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Now, if you translate that into, so the Creator is love, if we are linked to recognizing who we are as love and living in love, then what does it say? No weapon that is fashioned against you shall succeed, and you shall refute every tongue that rises against you in judgment. That's the promise. If you're in harmony, basically the Creator is saying, hey, if you play with me, if you play in love, this is what I'll do for you. I got it handled. Other places it talks about he will guard you from the evil one. What's the evil one? The energetic patterns that are off the mark.
Well, he had a hard
Always
time getting
present.
through on this one.
Well, who knows? Who knows how long that one's been going on in your family bloodline? And you've come up with a clear answer that's moved you to a new space of love and connectedness.
To have played the piano out of guilt because I thought somebody would love me if I played well. A whole lifetime doing that. Holy mackerel. Yeah.
And
my grandson.
What I get.
Ahead. What?
I've never heard you speak of, or if you've ever done the purpose exercise. We did it at Heartland years ago. I've never heard you clearly speak about what your purpose is, but it sounds like with that music, you even so were being guided to and expressed your purpose. When I watch how quickly you picked up and started a support group with teaching people about the healing process, to me that's clearly your purpose, and that seems to be something that you've done, most of your life and carried out with your music. So it seems like, a pretty sweet space to be in.
In a lot of ways, yes. It could be cleaned up around the edges a bit, but I do notice with the boys, your grandsons, I have my Charlie who has OCD. He wants to become a physician. Here his dad has been a doctor and struggled with it, with lots of anxiety because he has too too much invested in the outcomes of the people he's trying to heal or fix operations. If a patient isn't doing well, he loses sleep. Whereas my daughter's new husband, who's also a doctor, no matter how awful the cases are, he can leave them there with all good wishes and intents, but he can live his life. Here's my son who's been carrying anxiety to the point where he can't even always be there for his son, and his son wants to be a doctor, and I don't know how to. I just keep saying, just rest in the idea that something that you love is going to present itself, and whether it's medicine or not, it'll be the right thing. And so yes, that is, and I think about how that is my purpose, but there has been no, it doesn't count. It's counting now, but the only thing that counted all through my life was if I practiced enough to give a good concert, get a good review, prove to everybody that I was lovable. That was the thing, and nothing else counted. And to have these other purposes show up and have them be so ongoing and rewarding and still not quite count. Those are worksheets that need to be done. Why doesn't it count? Yeah. So thanks for letting me go on and on. I appreciate it.
What I hear you saying when you're talking about your daughter's husband and your son, what I hear is that your daughter's husband is likely working from his true purpose. What I hear perhaps happening with your son is that he's working through issues through the work that he's doing, and maybe not in alignment with his purpose.
Absolutely, that's a great way to put it. I can see that. And I've been trying to get him into a kind of therapy he has a wonderful therapist, but the therapist doesn't address things the way you guys do. I've been wanting to have a session with Dr. Tim because Tim does see patients on a regular basis. And my son keeps saying, I'll call him, I'm going to call him, but I haven't had time. And it's just not happening yet. And how much hounding can a mother do, you know?
Well, maybe Mom can do an invitation, print off the purpose worksheet, and just offer to him, I have a thought that maybe some of what you're doing and the reason you're in anxiety is maybe you're not doing your purpose. And invite him to do the 3 steps in the worksheet and then, do that final statement and see how does that actually fit? Is he on purpose? And that might be a vehicle for him to open to some other possibilities.
That's a nice idea. Yeah, I have that sheet. I remember doing that sheet. And I remember coming up with the purpose of the work we're doing with other people. That seemed like a real purpose, but there was no zing in it, the way there was zing in the piano thing. So there's just unfinished business there. Anyway, thank you for talking.
So who knows what he might discover, and it might alleviate him of some of that stress if he's, rather than trying to therapy himself through his work, if he's doing his work because that's his job and or it's in line with his purpose, and that he can give his highest and best, and then like your son-in-law can let it go.
Yeah.
And, maybe your son is following the path you followed, as he's doing this because this is what's going to get him approval, this is what's going to get him love, rather than doing it because he's tied in with his purpose.
Yeah.
He may be trying to resolve the dynamic that you've been resolving. And you can speak to that from the point of experience with the piano and maybe even quiz him, Gee, is there any part of you that you're doing this because this is how you get acceptance, approval?
And maybe yes right away.
Then that might open him to another level of, so what if you were to shift and really tap into what your real purpose is and start to make choices about your life that are on purpose. I mean, it doesn't mean he has to leave medicine. He might be right there in medicine, but he might come with a different mind than the mind he's coming with now.
God, that's so good. Yeah.
So holding the space.
Thanks.
You know, the dedication you've got to bring healing to each of the family members that you've done, you know, from Luke to Jacob, that's pretty awesome.
You know, they had their family reunion over Thanksgiving, and I've gotten nothing but wonderful reports. Luke came home, and Jacob has been gunning for Luke, remembering him as an abusive, mean older brother who got Jacob got all the punishment, and Luke didn't get any. Luke goes home, and Jacob starts talking about something, and Luke says, Jake, you know, you did such a beautiful job on that. And, of course, Jacob is like this dry sponge, and Jacob's just puffing up and sitting up straight and listening. Luke was nothing but love for him. And Luke himself, we went on a Zoom. I would recognize him, but he is slender and his face is all clear, and his mother says he's like a miracle boy. He's just so loving and so wise. And now he says, Michael, here's your thing again. He says, being an alcoholic like that, being so sick on the verge of homelessness was a great gift, because now look what I have and what I've learned. I wouldn't have learned it any other way. Meanwhile, Jacob's behaving wonderfully. Jacob's been gentle and nice. And
Sweet.
Anyway, it is.
Well, you know, as the Course says, when I'm healed, I'm never healed alone. So I congratulate you and acknowledge you for the sweet space you've created for all those young men.
With help, but yes, it's been part of it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
So joining you in holding the space for the next layer and the next level for each of them.
And
especially for Charlie. That he can let loose of that OCD and turn it into OCB.
What's that?
That as he does his work, the same energies that are called the disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, can become the obsessive-compulsive blessing. That he just goes for the blessing every time. Because
wonderful.
He's able to collapse that mind based in fear.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be a doctor, he's going to have to get things done. So obsessive-compulsive blessing, that he's coming from a space of love when he's driven to that, can really be a thing that gets it done.
Yeah.
And as a doctor, there's certainly lots to do if he's going to go into a practice with working with people.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
But coming to resolution within himself as to who he is as love is going to be one of the things that will uplift him in that or whatever he chooses to do. So holding the space with you.
Thanks.
Sweet. Well, any other thoughts for today?
Oh, sure. I
Go
was just
for
thinking about the miracle. This is going to seem very funny. My daughter's new husband has 3 children. One is normal, and he's not autistic is what I'm trying to say. Typical neuro, whatever, there's a word. He is normal, but he's gay. His second second child was a
Neurodivergent,
son.
I think they're calling it.
Neurodivergent is when you're autistic.
Yeah.
He is not neurodivergent, but he brought a partner home. He brought a friend home, and we met him, delightful young man. The second child, born autistic, very, very autistic boy. The father learned all about autism and is a wonderful father for that boy. And the boy is now a girl. I mean, this is wild. His third child is a daughter who is gay and has ADHD but not autism. Here's a father with 3 kids who are unusual, and he's wonderful with them. And here's Jacob. He waltzes into this new blended family, and Jacob is saying, I think I have a father. And what he's saying is, he gets me. He knows how to do me. Talk about the goodness of God. Whoa.
Sounds like a wondrous gentleman who knows how to be the space. To handle those things and come forward the way he does into the world, that's pretty profound.
My daughter thinks she wouldn't have noticed him in high school when he had a crush on her. But when he learned that she was getting a divorce, he got in touch with her right away because his marriage had broken up a year or 2 previous. And they never stopped seeing each other. She just adored him, and he her, and it's a very happy situation. So things happen. You could never imagine those things happening by arrangement. You can't make it up, and you can't even dream to ask for it.
Right. So
here's Jacob hanging out with these neurodivergent kids and getting along great. So I think I've stopped reporting. You can go to other things. Thank you so much for all that airtime.
Honored and delighted, young lady. I hope your holy days are blessed as this holy day season opens and bring you into deeper and deeper and deeper states of wholeness and well-being. And the way you touch the world's awesome.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, take care. Give Tim a hug for us.
You too. I will.
All right. Well, Miss Jeanie, it looks like we've got about 13 or so minutes left, so we've got time for another good conversation. Do you have anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
No, it's quiet on both fronts. So if somebody asks a question, press 1, make a comment, tell us what you're grateful for, share your Thanksgiving experience. A hand just went up, and I believe it's Mr. Terry, 336. You're on the air.
Hey, guys.
Hey, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. Good to hear your voice.
Thanks. Yes, good to hear you guys. It's good to talk. Good to listening to the previous person on the show there. I was thinking, do you ever do a primary purpose workshops, like a Zoom workshop with the primary purposes of focus?
Well, we actually have a workshop that we have both on audio. I think we've got it on audio tape, a 4-hour version and 2-hour version of purpose, personal power, and commitment. Have you never attended that workshop?
I have. Here's what I'm finding, though. There's a big difference in a recorded workshop, that kind of thing, as opposed to one that actually has interaction with
live
other folks, especially with you. You bring a whole another dynamic into the thing. And so what a lot of the folks are doing, they're doing these little workshops, and they're a Zoom class, but then they're recorded so that you can go back and review and listen, and there's a way to participate there.
Right.
So that's what I was wondering. If you had anything like that, maybe in the works or something about it.
You know, we've talked about doing an online Why Is This Happening to Me Again, kind of similar to the Codependence Intensive, doing that intensive, and the purpose worksheet is part of that workshop. So if we do if we had enough interest expressed from people who want to do an online Zoom, why is this happening to me again, or why is this happening to me again in teacher training, then we would be happy to set that up. And so if anybody's listening is interested, let Jeanie know. Drop Jeanie a note at jeanie@whyagain.org. Jeanie@whyagain.org, and let her know. But
you can put me on that list, okay?
You're on the
I'll
list.
start it off.
Okay.
I think it would be really cool to participate in that format, that setting.
Cool. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you do anything special?
We did the traditional. Kiva started cooking Tuesday morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you were blessed with food.
Yeah, full throttle, all these different beautiful dishes. It was a little special. She made a couple of different cranberry dishes that were just delicious with the real cranberries, and one of them had the cranberry and orange mix, and that was just delightful. Mm-hmm. And then she made this cranberry bread. Those were my favorites, and the fresh cranberries, to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Yep. And there was, I don't know, let's see, there was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there were 7 guests. So we had a house full. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Where is Michaela these days?
She's up in the mountains. Yeah, she's in the mountains at Earth Haven.
Earth Haven. I've heard of it. I don't place.
It's a big eco community, about 400 acres outside of Asheville.
Oh, okay. Black Mountain, Asheville. Ah, cool.
Yes.
Well, tell him we said hello.
I will. And Ian, he's down in Florida, and Brittany and all the kids were down there. And I don't know if you remember the oldest girl, Ashley. Remember her?
Yes. Sure.
Well, she had a daughter, Audrey, the granddaughter, and then she announced she was pregnant at the gathering. So that's great grandparent material.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's taking it to a whole new level.
It is. That's a new experience.
I didn't realize you were that much older than me.
I know, it's crazy,
Yeah. That's wonderful. Sweet. How's Ian doing?
He's doing very well. He went over to visit his mom and all the siblings, and he's just doing well, living a life, having fun.
And his baby?
Ezra.
I don't remember if it's a baby girl or baby boy.
His name is Ezra, the boy, yeah. He's just top shelf, Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Fabulous. Well, extending blessings for the holiday season in your direction. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying I was very synchronistic. I was really just thinking about the primary purpose worksheet and the thing and all. Then this lady comes on, starts talking about it, and I said, "Well, here we go." That was her and her grandson and me and 2 or 3 others. Next thing you know, you got a full class.
There you go. Well, we'll put it out there and see what develops.
And they do, since I'm really learning about all this Zoom stuff, I was doing a meeting with another classmate, and he uses Google Meets. And they have a similar thing, Zoom, but it's called Google Meet, or Google Meets. And it's free for a limited number of minutes and stuff, whereas Zoom puts a 40-minute limitation on it. And,
right, on their free one.
Yeah, and that one seems to be unlimited, and it has a really nice way that it connects with your calendar for reminders, send out invites. Really, I just learned all that this week, so I'm sharing it with you.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, anything else happening exciting in your world?
I'm just cleaning up the shop today, just on my own here, and everybody else is out doing their thing, and it's nice and quiet, real quiet.
Cool. Sweet. Well, is there anything else on top of your mind happening today in terms of your process? I know you went through some big stuff last week.
Yes. It's just beautiful. It's all connected, and it's so important to lay down a foundation of whatever kind of work you're going to do, personal development-wise and healing. Make sure you build a strong foundation. I don't think you can build a strong enough foundation. You can't build one that's too strong. You can build one strong enough, but you can't build one too strong. And I was impressing that on a couple of the guys that I'm working with, And I said, guys, do the work. Lots and lots of work.
That's what it takes.
Lots and lots of inventories. Just do something. Keep it going. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we'll look forward to the next time we get face to face.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right. Lots of love, Terry. Appreciate you.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Check your text, by the way. All right, Miss Jeanie, we've got about 5 minutes. 3 minutes. So do we have anybody out there with a hand up in the phone queue, or?
No.
Anybody from the chat room? Well, anything on your mind?
No.
I'm down to our last few minutes. Well, my thought is that seeing as how we are down to just the last couple of minutes, it's been a while since I have shared the commitment with our audience. And so I'm thinking that maybe we close the show out with a commitment today. And for those who are not familiar with the writing called My Commitment, it's a tool that we teach in our Healing Through Relationships workshop. And one of the things we have is what we call a personal code evaluation that people do to evaluate where there are blocks in the mind and what arenas or what areas of life are blocked. So it covers, there were scales on the evaluation for about 10 different arenas, or for 10 different arenas, 10 different areas, stress management, honor of others, honor of self, honor of truth, freedom from fear, freedom from hostility, honoring laws of living, nutrition, digestion, toxicity, use of will. So there are several different areas, and the personal code that each of us has, what our minds make us do in any given circumstance in response to any given stresses, is generally set in the mind via words. And so in our Healing Through Relationships workshop, we offer this commitment that, it's basically taken me, about 40 years to write. It's been edited and changed several times, and it may be changed tomorrow. Maybe it'll change out of today's, but I'd just like to share it with you, and this is my commitment to you. I promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth, to be true to you, and always engage in just and fair behavior with you. I commit to always be sweetness in your life, to nurture you daily and treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect in my thoughts, my words, and my actions, whether in your presence or not. In every interaction, I commit to affection for you, to look for and acknowledge the highest and best in you. And as I surrender to love, our true nature, I will use only voice tones that reflect my deep caring for you. My connection to love our source, gratitude for my relationship with you, and our serenity will always be more important than any issue. I open my being to embrace you in my love. I open my being to be embraced in your love. If anything unlike love comes up inside of me, I will hold this in my heart and listen as I learn to speak, experience, and be responsible for my own realities. Apply forgiving to those painful ones. I'm here for and with you. I promise to speak only truth to you as I keep communication open and keep love conscious, active and present as we heal, celebrate life, and grow together. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you today. I hope you're getting ready for the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. It's a gift you can give. It's certainly a gift the world needs. Blessings. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.